Hi, it's Nikki from Change Frame here, and I'm just sharing with you some real life case studies and scenarios where Change Frame can have a really positive impact for people in achieving a change they've been perhaps trying to or struggling with or contemplating for some time. So in this little chat I wanted to talk about Mark. So Mark was a late 30s, early 40s gentleman, had been quite an active young man in his earlier days throughout high school and uni, and really had felt like he'd let himself go in terms of his fitness and his health. So he had 3 children under the age of 12. So a large part of the previous 10, 15 years for Mark had been around settling into married life, establishing his family, working hard to set them up so that they had a nice home and the kids were all in lovely schools. So for Mark, he'd probably started to put himself a little bit lower down the list of priorities in making sure that everyone else in the family had what they needed to be happy and healthy. He'd possibly let his own requirements or his own needs go in that. So he was a little bit heavier than he wanted to be, certainly than what he was used to in his younger years. So he arrived at Change Frame with that as his why. I want to lose weight, which is not uncommon. But we really needed to look for Mark at what's your why in there, mate? What's the real why? Losing weight is what you want to do. Why do you want to do it? So in doing that, Mark was able to go, right, okay, for me, this is about, I want to feel good in my own skin and in my own body, and I want to be a great example for my children on how to live a happy and healthy life well into your adult years. So all of a sudden, the focus shifted from just losing weight to the actual outcomes, the meaningful outcomes that he wanted to experience in his life, that he saw losing weight as the pathway to getting. So with a little bit more clarity on the real why in this situation, we were able to actually sort of look at what are some of doing the reflecting forwards process. What were the things that would stop and start when Mark achieved this outcome of feeling much better in his own skin, and what were the things that he needed to stop and start doing in order to get there. So the first iteration of the change frame, we did the post-it notes, we put them out on the actual map of the change frame with are they hard, are they easy, are they an upside, are they a downside? So in going through that process, we had quite a lot of, downside things that for Mark were challenging. So what we uncovered through that was, in amongst all of this, I don't feel great in my skin, was a complete sense of overwhelm for Mark in what he was trying to do. And everything he thought, I need to do this, the minute he'd had the thought, there seemed to be this reason why he couldn't. So there was this real sort of downward pressure on him that he felt literally pressed down and unable to sort of move forward to where he wanted to go. So in identifying those things, the first thing we did was the reality check. And again, as we often find through this process, the beliefs that underpin a lot of what we think will be our outcomes or what we think will be the challenging things, if we really dip into those beliefs that sit underneath that, we can find maybe they're not true. And in that discovery that maybe that belief isn't true, there's this incredible freedom of, well, if it's potentially not true, maybe I can move it to the side. Maybe I'll just stop believing that thought if I know it's not potentially true. So we were able to sift a lot of things to the side for Mark, and what that left space for was clarity of what were the real things that would really benefit him in getting him to his goal, and the things equally that were going to be really difficult. Because when you undertake change, the things that you find easy to do, well, guess what? They're easy. It's in achieving the things that you find difficult or challenging where the real magic happens in terms of change. That's when you really actually achieve those aha moments, those real moments of beautiful, wow, this feels amazing, aren't I great? So for Mark, there were quite a few of those that for him were going to prove really challenging. Finding time to do things. What were the things to do? Was it committing to a team? So all of this, these challenges that he saw confronting him in terms of his quest to become healthy and feel better in his own skin. So with all processes, then we finish with the action plan. And in doing the action plan, a key theme for Mark was his fear about overcommitting and not being able to be there for his family. So rather than set Mark off on a path of trying to do all of those things on his action plan, we really identified the key things. And with Mark, we started with the easiest ones because I picked up a real sense of he was feeling constantly defeated. He was a man who really needed to tap into some sense of, hey, I actually can do this. I can affect this change that I want to do. So we picked off the slightly easier ones for him to focus on in the first instance and just take a week or a month to just embed that habit. So go for a walk 3 times a week for 15 minutes. It doesn't sound like much, but compared to doing nothing, it's something. And it's a step in the right direction. And if Mark can actually incorporate a 3 times a week for 15-minute walk, then we can start to look at what else he can do. Maybe that can be 2 walks and a high-intensity gym session. So we can actually start to look at what are the ways we can gradually build up so that incrementally Mark is incorporating new habits and new behaviours that are not so daunting and overwhelming. And in the meantime, he's building this cumulative sense of, wow, I can do this, and getting that confidence back. He was also concerned about time away from family. So we had the opportunity to look at what are some healthy, outdoor, active kind of pursuits that he could undertake with the family. So weekend bike rides, hiking, and guess what? He's actually getting more time with his family. So a little bit of creative thinking with this particular situation was really helpful in actually setting Mark off on a pathway where he was and had a much greater sense of success in achieving what he wanted, rather than just this continual feeling of overwhelm and being pushed down and unable to do what he really wanted to do. So if you're wanting to actually achieve some kind of step change in terms of your health and your well-being and your exercise and your diet, then Change Frame can be a tool that can help you. So pop over to my website, nikkiingram.com. Have a look at the free ebook that you get when you sign up for my newsletter and other updates. If you really want to take the challenge, then I'd love to see you in one of my workshops. The details are all there, nikkiingram.com. Take care. Lovely to speak to you. Thanks for listening. See ya.